everybody. It's Karyn Bryant from MMA Heat here with...
Alan Joban, what's up, everybody?
It's early in the morning this time. We're just still trying to get it going. So listen, another edition of the podcast, we're going to talk about Demian Maia's amazing win over at Vancouver, also Pettis and Paige Van Zandt. But also I want to look ahead a little bit to The Ultimate Fighter, the new season premieres, and just get a couple of thoughts on the heavyweights. We have a busy week already. We had lunch with Alistair Overeem on Monday, and then yesterday caught up with Henry and Joseph from The Ultimate Fighter. So a lot of cool stuff to talk about. But Alan, and Fabricio Verdum, that's what I was going to say. You're wearing the Bolt Wrestling shirt. I saw Kenny with Verdum yesterday.
I spotted him in that picture as well. I spotted Kenny. Yeah, I'm curious. What did Overeem order when you guys went eat out?
They brought him a big thing of spaghetti. And that was the whole thing. Because usually, it's funny when we do these fighter luncheons, depending on who's fighting, depending on what weight class, you feel bad because you're sitting there throwing down at the palm. Like, yeah, I'll take the filet mignon. Yeah, I will start with the shrimp salad and, whatever. And a lot of time people can't eat, but Overeem had a big, huge bowl of spaghetti. So,
yeah.
Nice.
He's a meat lover. He's eaten the horse before. I didn't know if he ordered it. They served that at the Palm or whatever. But.
I don't know. I actually asked him about it. People, you'll have to watch it actually was in two parts, the Q&A with Alistair, but I actually brought that up. I believe that's in the first part. He answers it. Some people thought I was a little bit like, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you mentioned that. But he has a good reaction to the question. So,
I'll check it out.
But I don't know if they serve that at the Palm, Alan. I'm not sure.
It's also menu.
It is. Actually, in Europe, I know you're being serious and facetious at the same time, but yeah. I remember going to Europe when Aurora was a baby, and they had little jars of rabbit, horse.
Oh, well, rabbit's not that bad. I eat rabbit in Louisiana.
You are a Louisiana boy. You eat rabbit, that's for sure. All right, listen. Round one has started. I want to ask you about Demian Maia. He submitted Carlos Condit so quickly in the first round. What was your reaction to that?
Holy crap, man. I mean, like you said, are the statistics that said that he's only been punched a certain amount of times in the last couple of fights. Right. He's 38 years old, Karyn, and he's still beating top level guys without taking any damage at all. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal that his game plan. You know that he's going to go in there, he's going to grapple you, and he's going to try to choke you out. And the worst case scenario is to have this man on your back. And yet every fight he ends up on their back and he ends up getting the choke. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about this fight was, he wasn't really in what you would call he wasn't really locked in. He didn't really have both hooks in. He wasn't really completely underneath the chin. He had one hook in, but he was manipulating Carlos's body that way he couldn't really turn out. And you know what? The thing is, he has such faith in his squeeze. Yeah. And even if he's not underneath the chin, he's like, I don't care, man. I'm gonna crush you. I'm gonna just do a crush. I'm gonna cut off either your airways. Yeah. Carotid artery, something's going out, and he just crushes you and he gets the tap every time.
Yes, so that fact that you were alluding to is that he's only absorbed 13 significant strikes in the last 4 fights.
4 fights.
4 fights.
That's what I absorb every round, every 1 minute of every round.
I know.
Aaron. Yeah.
So this is the thing. I was amazed, and like you said, it's one of those things where it's coming and you know what to expect. Doesn't mean you can stop it.
Right.
I didn't, Carlos Condit is so good, but we know that he can be taken down. So we kind of knew, I thought that, it was an eventuality that he would get taken down. I didn't know it was going to be that quick. But as we saw in the past, Demian, even in his loss to Rory McDonald, which is his last loss, was, he was all over him in that first round and almost submitted him in the first round as well. But as you said, he just schools people. And it's incredible, and it's funny because if you watch him and you listen to the comments, they kind of watch the clockwork, his movement, like they say about jiu-jitsu being a chess match, you can see he's already got checkmate. Do you know what I mean? When he gets you down, and to me that's amazing. I hate when people say he's boring. I don't understand how that's boring to watch somebody who's the best at something.
Yeah, he's mastered what he does, and I after watching that fight, I think to myself, obviously I'm a welterweight as well, so I think, what would I do in this situation, or what would I have done? And, there is only a limited amount of stuff that you can do against somebody who is that high level at their game. But I found that, I think when Rory McDonald was able to weather the storm after getting taken down in the first round, what he did is he was able to keep he was able to keep him in a butterfly or full guard game. He didn't allow him to pass a side control. Because once a guy like Demian Maia, who's that good, gets a side control or the mount or the back, heaven forbid, it's pretty much it's all wrapped up. So if you're going to go down, if he's taking you down, and this is easier said than done, but if you're going to go down against Demian Maia, it's almost like, you know what, if he's halfway finishing the takedown, you almost want to pull guard. Yeah. And I'm not thinking that you probably have a small percentage of submitting him from your guard, but what you do have a good percentage of is wrapping him up. Maybe you taking a couple hammer fists, but maybe you weather the storm, finish the round, or best case scenario, the referee stands you back up.
Right.
Because if he passes your guard, your defensive jiu-jitsu off of your back is not going to overcome his offensive jiu-jitsu once he's got the side control. So, yeah, for those of you guys who aren't big, stocky wrestlers like Tyron Woodley that could be able to stay on their feet, it's almost like getting the butterfly, getting the full guard, and just hold Demian Maia until you get a stand-up.
So you bring up a good point. You bring up Tyron Woodley. You know, I don't know who's next for the title shot. Obviously, Wonder Boy is gunning for it. He has 7 wins in a row. Demian Maia now has 6 wins in a row. Demian said he'll wait for one. I'm okay if they give Wonder Boy the next shot and Demian gets the one after that. Although I will say this, I like the idea. Stylistically, Demian is so interesting against either of those. Somebody who is so good at jiu-jitsu versus Tyron, who's so great at wrestling. But does he want to go on the ground with Demian? I don't know. But if you got Demian versus Wonder Boy, you know, striker versus grappler, it would be insane.
Yeah, that's interesting. I agree. I think Wonder Boy deserves to get this next shot, and then I think Demian Maia even said in his post-fight press conference that he would wait. He would wait. So if he's willing to wait for it, and Steven is the next in line, I say give Steven that shot. It looks like Steven's been talking a little trash lately.
Yeah.
Or that just been the headlines? I didn't really hear.
No, we've been encouraging him. End of round 1 here, in between rounds, I'll let you know that we've actually sort of, when he was working with us at Fox when Tyron won. And I'm not going to lie, you know, egging him on a little bit. You know, Dominic Cruz was in there. Dominic Cruz is... If Dominic doesn't egg you on to do something, then you're not talking to the real Dominic. So we egged him on to talk a little smack. Steven is so polite. It's not his natural state. But we've egged him on a little bit. And he wants it. You know, he wants the fight, so he's got to stand up for himself. You know, one thing I will also mention... in between rounds here, I said, I talked to Fabricio yesterday. I actually asked Fabricio his thoughts on Demian and who's the best jiu-jitsu artist in the UFC. So I believe Wade will probably be working on that video today. I think. I don't know. Now he is. Now he's under the gun after this. But anyway, really interesting to get Fabricio Verdum's take on Demian Maia and his jiu-jitsu. As we enter round 2 here, speaking of jiu-jitsu, Anthony Pettis into the mouth of the lion. Let's Oliveira get back control and gets out of it multiple times. Ends up submitting Charles Oliveira. If you put that bet down before that fight, I don't know who put Pettis by submission. No.
Yeah, and I mean Anthony's dope, man.
He's dope.
He's dope. You know, I was happy for him, man. You know, like he's coming off of 3 losses now. He's switching weight divisions, and I saw leading into this fight, Anthony Pettis is very emotional. I think we might have spoke about this on the last podcast. He put a long Instagram tweet or whatever out there saying, you know, pretty much talking about like to my family, my friends, my supporters, I'm doing this for you, my loved ones. And it was a very emotional state. And I know where he was coming from. I've been in that moment where either it's a very emotional fight or early on in your career, you're very emotional about fighting. It's not so much a routine and a job. It's unfamiliar emotions and unfamiliar territory. So you get very emotional. And so to see somebody like Anthony Pettis, who's been fighting for so long, he's been a multiple-time world champion, he's got so much experience. To see him fighting for like a non-title fight, not even like the main event on a card, and he's putting out this long message about how emotional and how much he loves loved ones, why he does this. I was thinking, is this a very focused Anthony Pettis, or are we going to see a very over-emotional Anthony Pettis, and how is he going to perform? So I was rooting for him in this fight. I wanted to see him do well. And like he said, man, he goes to the ground against a dangerous Oliveira, who, I mean, the guy is so lanky, and it's crazy. His body structure is almost an odd structure. He's so lanky the way he kind of carries his body posture, but you don't want that guy on your back either. No. And Anthony Pettis was able to squeeze out every time and then to get the finish. He's got a good guillotine, man. Anthony Pettis has got a sick guillotine. You've seen he has certain moves. I think Anthony Pettis might be. I'm not sure what his actual belt ranking is in Jiu-Jitsu, if he is an official black belt or not. But he's got black belt level moves. Showed that he's got a good armbar, obviously, when he won a title. Yeah. And this is, I think, the second guillotine that we've seen him land against a top 5 opponent, or a top ranked opponent. So he's got some very good strong moves that he relies on when it comes to the jiu-jitsu game.
Yeah, you know, I was kind of rooting for him to do well as well. You know, I like Anthony a lot. I've worked with him before at Fox, and he's a good guy. And, you know, he was talking about what happened before, and he admits, he's like, yeah, I wasn't focused before. He's, you know, before it was his mental game. When I asked him, you know, what do you think was wrong when you look back and you see those losses in a row? And he says, yeah, I wasn't there, right? You know, my focus was wrong. And I do believe he's rededicated. And literally, I was watching that fight after, you know, Antony Hardonk was there coaching Kevin Casey, who you train with sometimes. And after their fight, Antony was sitting with me, actually, while we were watching that fight. Thank goodness, because I like to have somebody next to me who's big and who can take a punch. Because I sat there, I'm like, Antony, oh my God, right? You know, like, I was like, what is happening? And I just kept grabbing him, because every time Anthony Pettis was when Oliveira had his back, I'm like, oh my God, and we're both screaming, we're like, get your shoulders on the ground, like, what are you doing, you gotta roll, and all this stuff. And the fact that he weathered that and like was willing to go there to us was insane, because, you know, he had success on the feet. But who knows what was going to happen, because he was lighting him up. And we were talking about this, like, I think there was a moment at some point, maybe Oliveira was actually sort of out for a second, I don't know, and came back. But how tough is he? But anyway, I just was really excited about the idea of Pettis coming back. You know, I hate when people are like, the old guy's back, but I like a reinvigorated Pettis. And he is now, you know, actually, he's not in the lightweight rankings. He is in the featherweight rankings now. And I believe he's debuting at number 6 or so. And that kind of just shows, looks like, you know, that's going to be his home. I'm interested. I mean, there's some interesting matchups here. I mean, do you put him right away with somebody like Max Holloway? How many fights does it take till Anthony gets a title shot?
Yeah, no, I mean, you just made me smile.
I know, right?
Holloway, that's an intriguing fight. Yeah, you know, I love it. I love seeing guys kind of changing weight classes and whatnot, because it reinvigorates the division. It makes more exciting matchups, because, you know, once you have the rankings and the number 2's fighting number 3 and so on, the division can get stale. So when you have guys willing to make the jump, or they're able to make the jump, it reinvigorates the division. And having Anthony Pettis in that division, like you said, Max Holloway, and then what's next after that?
You got Cub Swanson in there. You have like Jeremy Stevens. You got like good fighters there. So
yeah, some dope matchups. So I really look forward to seeing that. Yeah, if I was Anthony, I would be shooting towards the title, but I would take my time with it. It's a new division. It's a new cut. You could see he was very drawn out from this weight cut. So I would take my time with it, kind of get the weight cut down, make sure everything's firing before I, you know, start calling people out for the belt.
Yes. All right. Well, that's it. We're between rounds 2. You know, also at featherweight, this is an interesting matchup. I don't know if you've ever trained with BJ Penn, how he and Ricardo Lamas are going to be fighting, which I think is cool, but I'm curious, you've never trained with BJ?
Man, there's one thing I need to check off my list. I haven't done yet. I'd love to train with him. I haven't done it.
Well, I heard a rumor you might get an opportunity.
Oh, well, you know.
Talk to Kenny Johnson. We'll see.
BJ, he needs a little bit of bolt wrestling in his life. I'm representing bolt wrestling today. I know Kenny, BJ used to bring Kenny Johnson in for his camps back in the day, and Kenny helped BJ a lot. So yeah, that'd be great to have him at Black House.
I mean, I don't know. Take a sip of water if you need it. We're about to go into round 3 here, Alan.
That's exciting.
Okay, so I think I have something in my eye too. By the way, people, if you're just wondering, like, why is Karyn like winking Morse code at somebody? I think I have something in my eye. Okay, so round 3. Paige Van Zandt. All the haters. I mean, because we know this girl has haters. I mean, I don't know if you could come up with a better way to shut up a hater than with a head kick knockout. Basically, a head kick knockout that, you know, was finished with the Swarm. What did you think when you saw her do that?
Okay, so I was late watching this fight. I was on like a 10-minute delay because I was trying to haul ass to get home. I didn't realize the fight started so soon.
Yeah, the Fox shows start early. They start at 5 o'clock West Coast.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm good. It's 5 o'clock, you know.
Yeah, you think it's starting at 7.
I'm on a delay. My friend texts me. He said, did you see the fight? I said, no, I'm on my way home. Don't tell me. He goes, well, spoiler alert. He goes, Machida's probably saying touche right now. I knew exactly what happened.
Really?
I said, somebody just hit the crane kick. Somebody just hit the karate kick. It's got to be what it is.
Yeah.
Paige Van Zandt hitting that kick, I was like, what the hell is that? Where did that come from? Yeah, man. Congrats to her, man. She hit a nice kick. And you know what's funny? It reminded me right away of what's her teammate Andre Feely.
Yeah, Touchy Feely.
Touchy Feely was knocked out from the same kick. From I forget his name, the Brazilian striker. So
yeah, it was Alameda, Thomas Almeida.
Alameda, thank you. Yeah. Same kick knocked him out. I wonder after that fight if maybe she kind of started incorporating that. She gave a shout out to one of her coaches that said one of her coaches taught her that kick. But yeah, man, congrats to her. She got the 50 G's. She came back off of the Dancing with the Stars. I mean, she had the Dancing with the Stars people giving her shout outs.
Yeah.
She had a lot of hype around her. The one little critique, sorry guys, don't be mad. The one critique that I have for her is I much prefer it. It gives you a bigger master, a black belt status when you practice a move so much that you know exactly when to do it and you land it on the first try.
Gotcha, because she tried it earlier in the fight, right?
That's the one thing that I had. I didn't like that. As soon as I saw her try it in the opening of the fight, I said, okay, this is exactly what happened because my friend tweeted me or my friend texted me and said, you know, that somebody probably did that. So I said, okay, I know exactly. She's going to land it. But when is she going to land it? And after she tried it 15 times, it kind of watered it down for me. So once she landed it, I was like, well, shit, I'm glad she finally found her range. So that's the one critique. Hey, next time you have the move, practice it in training so much that you know exactly the right moment to do it. If you miss, you can try it again later. But you were just going for it like every once a minute, you know, every round until you landed it. But props to you, good job.
But that's the rope-a-dope, Alan. That's her making Beck think, oh, I'm gonna keep doing. And that's Beck going, whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it. Not gonna worry about it. I'm just kidding. But I will say this, you know, Beck. I saw her after the fight, walking back to her, you know, her room, and she was crying. She was really upset. I wonder, you know, and I've talked to you about this before about smack talk, and it's probably why it's something that we talked about how you don't do it, you know, because Beck was not kind to Paige at all before the fight, and you know didn't. What is she was basically saying that she was like the dark side and all this stuff, and you know she was basically going to give Paige, you know, the pampered princess, a rude awakening, stuff along that storyline, and so that's dangerous, you know. And Beck was doing well in that fight. You know, she's been training down with Dominic Cruz. Your biggest fan is here, Alan.
What's up?
The dogs. So Beck was training with Dominic Cruz at Alliance, and I thought she was looking good in the fight. I thought Beck was looking good. But maybe it was a thing of, you know, we were talking about this after the fight, maybe it's a thing of not having enough respect for Paige's skill set. You know what I mean? And like you said, throwing that kick over and over, it's not going to land. I don't need to worry about it so much. So it's tough. I mean, you know, you got, if you talk a lot of smack and then you eat it like that, that's hard to take.
It's tough. When you talk smack, you're obviously bringing awareness and attention to the fight, but it can always backfire. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. I personally don't talk that much smack, but if you talk smack and you get knocked out, you know, people initially might say right away, oh, and he was talking crap and he got knocked out. But eventually that goes very, very quickly, and you still did your job. You still brought attention to the fight. So I think it's still beneficial to talk smack in the right way if you can bring attention to the fight. And if you had to eat your words at the end of the day, look, that's the profession that we're in. That's the job. So you have to really do that. I will say that it's too easy. People keep falling into this trap. When they fight Paige Van Zandt, the first thing they see is they judge a book by the cover. They say, oh, it's this pretty little blonde girl who likes to dance. I'm going to use that as that's my leverage here. That's what I'm going to use. And it's just it's too easy. It's been done numerous times now that she's shown that she can fight this tough. People maybe need to move on from that.
I agree with you, and I will say this though, that's also who Beck is. Like, if Beck didn't talk some smack, I'd be like, what's wrong with Beck? Where'd Beck go? You know what I mean? That's why she is liked. She's got that vibe. She's got that fan base. But I agree, you know, people, it's funny, even I talked to Paige after the weigh-ins, and that's what she said. You know, it's funny. She said, everybody in the division is gunning for me. She's like, they realize there's a title here in this division, right? She's like, they realize that I'm not the only thing here. But, you know, because they know they can make their name if they beat her, you know, people really kind of gun for her. But, you know, so she was talking after saying maybe she'd like to get on that Sacramento card later this year. That one's in, you know, December. That's another big Fox card. But there's also talk about, hey, maybe we should put her on the New York card because she is a draw and she could get that New York, the Dancing with the Stars audience. You could bring in the fashion people out, and it's coming together.
Stop it, you.
All right, round 4 here. I do want to talk to you about Alistair Overeem. There's some heavyweights here, and no. Big shout out to Jim Miller and Joe Lozon too. That fight was ridiculous. I actually had it a split decision for Joe Lozon, but I'm not angry at the split decision for Jim Miller. I don't know how you saw that one.
I agree. Well, I thought that Joe got robbed on that one. They both had an awesome fight. They both put it all on display. But man, if I remember correctly, I either had it 2-1 or maybe even I can't remember. But I remember definitely thinking Joe had that. He got rocked a little bit in the third round. Yeah. Other than that, he dominated the first 2 rounds from what I remember. Like he had Jim on his back the whole time, beating him up and working his position. So I didn't really see how it went that way. But you know what? Whenever there's a fight like that and it's controversial, at least they got the 50 Gs. That makes it easier. And they had so much mutual respect after the fight that it's like, it was easy to kind of shake off.
Yeah, for sure. It was close, and it was, but like I said, a bunch of us were sitting around kind of watching it backstage, and, people are like, well, how do you see it? I'm like, I see it split for Joe, but, whatever. And then when Buffer started to read the cards, Judge so-and-so sees it. We're like, okay, it is a split decision, but it went for Joe. But yeah, for Jim, I'm totally not mad at that. Those guys are awesome. You know what I mean? Like, and Brian Stan was saying, like, can we just do this every year? Like, once a year, book these two, which I think is pretty cool. But I did want to talk about Alistair Overeem. We got a lot of heavyweight fights coming up in the next couple weeks. We had lunch with Alistair on Monday. He's fighting Stipe Miocic for the title at UFC 203. I talked to Fabricio Verdum yesterday. He's fighting Travis Brown again. He was supposed to fight Ben Rothwell. Obviously, this weekend, Josh Barnett versus Andrei Arlovski. Is there one of those fights that you're looking forward to the most?
Wait, recap on that. Who is Travis Brown fighting now?
He's fighting Verdum because Verdum was supposed to fight Ben Rothwell on the same card at UFC 203, in Cleveland. And Ben got injured. So Travis Brown is in there. And, Travis and Fabricio already fought in 2014, I think it was. It was down in Florida. And Fabricio won the fight, and he pretty much clearly ran the fight there, too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, if it's going to be, round 4, 5, and 6, or, you know what I mean, are we going to see a whole new dynamic between those two?
Yeah, no, I look forward to any big heavyweight striking type fight. Yeah. So I'm excited about all of those. But the one you just mentioned, the rematch with Verdum and Travis Brown is intriguing because Travis Brown is a big, athletic, difficult guy to fight, and he's a striker predominantly. He's a striker. And yet Verdum went in there and had his best striking display I've ever seen. I mean, he was doing all kinds of combos that you work. Yeah, he was doing these crazy combos. He got knocked down one point. He did like a ninja get-up off his back and then threw a combo immediately after. He was just showing off in that fight. He looked so strong. But I remember hearing that Travis Brown had suffered a lot of injuries in that fight. I think he had a broken rib and a broken hand or something, or he had some broken bones in the fight. So he continued to fight on while he was injured. So maybe Verdum, sensing that there was an injury, was able to capitalize on that. So I will be curious, like you said, to see if it's a reset or if it's a continuation of what happened, because Verdum just totally outclassed him in the striking department in the last fight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I like, I like how Travis, a couple of years at this point now, but decided to be a leaner, meaner heavyweight. And I think that serves him well. Like, gives him, more mobility and just I like that idea. We don't need the big, huge Hulk. When you see the Brock Lesnar, I mean, Brock is obviously a man of a singular element there, but. Yeah, but I like the idea of a leaner, meaner heavyweight. I am intrigued on that fight as well. Like I said, we saw Fabricio yesterday, and he really wants that Stipe Miocic fight again. He wants a rematch. We know that Kane beat Travis at UFC 200, so I don't know how quickly they'll give Kane another shot. Like, it's interesting to see who would get the shot. We know that if if Overeem beats Stipe. Well, Fabricio and Overeem are 1-1. They fought in Pride and they fought in Strikeforce. So it would be super cool to see those two go at it for a third time in the UFC. I don't know who to take in Stipe versus Overeem. Do you have a pick in that?
I'm scared to make a pick these days, Karyn. Like in the UFC this day and age, anybody can win on any given day. And I picked against Stipe like his last 2 fights. And I have finally become on board, but man, like Overeem and I mean, I don't know who I want to pick in this.
I know that one's tough. It is tough with the heavyweights because one punch can change everything. I'm kind of leaning toward, as round 4 ends here, I'm kind of leaning towards Barnett over Arlovsky. I think that was I don't want to say it's a fluke because, to be honest with you, for some reason, like Ben Rothwell, I'm always like, he won. And I don't know why. And I don't really mean to disrespect him, but I'm always just like, well, didn't see that coming. And so he's better than I guess I give him credit for. And for that, I apologize. But I thought that him beating Josh that way, choking him, I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
What happened? So I don't expect that to happen to Josh again. We know that Andre is just going to get up there and trade some hands. And Josh, I think, is obviously going to have the wrestling advantage there and stuff. So I think I'm leaning Barnett in that one.
I would agree with you on that one as well. And I don't mean to take anything away from Andre.
Yeah.
But he's at the later part of his career, and he suffered the concussions. He's shown that his chin is more durable than when I thought.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, looking back at like 5 years ago when he suffered those 4 knockouts in a row, and everybody thought he was done. He had a resurgence. But yeah, he's I don't think he's going to beat Barnett in this one.
Yeah, it's funny in our clip with Overeem, because they were at the same camp at Jackson's and stuff. And we're like, hey, how's it going? Do you guys still get along, or are you guys cool with each other after your fight? He's like, well, I'm cool with it. He's like, Andre maybe isn't so cool with it. And so you have to watch that because we asked him a few things about Andre, about the relationship and how he thinks Andre is looking in advance of this fight. Overeem is an entertaining dude. I got to tell you, he was pretty animated in that lunch, and was pretty funny actually.
Sounds like you have some insider stuff. I might need, and if you're picking against Andre, I'm assuming that I need to go watch this and see that he wasn't that impressed with Andre's training.
I wouldn't say it was a ringing endorsement. Yeah, it is also on iTunes. But that's between them. Hey, listen, I will give you a ringing endorsement, and people are going, it's because it's your job, because you're just trying to get paid. Yeah, I do have a job, and I like it, so I do want to get paid, so I'm letting you know about The Ultimate Fighter. But regardless, I will tell you, the fights are hot because, on this season, it's all champions from organizations all around the world. So I've watched the first couple of episodes so far. The first episode is 2 hours long, and it gives you 2 fights. Second episode, there's 1 fight. There's scraps, obviously on the other seasons, it's up and comers for the most part, and people who don't have as much experience. At this point, you have people who have a lot of fights in them. It's really fun, but we saw Joseph and Henry yesterday, interviewed both of those guys, and they are, it's funny, they don't like each other. And people kind of knew that a little bit, but I don't know if people realize how much they actually don't like each other. So that starts to play out in the second episode, and I think it's going to be pretty good.
Is that tonight, you said?
Yeah, premieres tonight. Well, tonight, if you're watching this, it's Wednesday, the 30th, or is today September 1st? Today is 31st.
First. Yeah, I don't know what date it is.
Yeah, it premieres tonight, and then we have Tough Talk as well. And so, and we're going to have on UFC Tonight and on Tough Talk, Demetrius, the dog is fired up about it, Demetrius, DJ, and Henry. But I'm curious what you think of that tournament style. Like, they literally had to find people from all around the world to try to fight Demetrius.
I'm thrilled about it. It looks super fun, and whoever came up with this idea is a genius. I mean, The Ultimate Fighter has been done so many times, so many different ways. We've added, females and males in the same house to make it intriguing, multiple weight classes, and having Demetrius, a champion who has pretty much wiped out the division. What would make it intriguing? Yeah, get all the other champions from around the world, have them fight each other. They will fight, and then the number 2 and number 3 guy, or whatever they're ranked, Cejudos and Benavidez, thank you. Have them fight. I think it's a perfect concept. And I just want to say something. I'm changing my pick. Last time we spoke, I told you, look out for the RFA champion.
Yes.
Because I'm a fellow RFA alum.
True.
I think he's a Black Ops guy. He's a beast. And I'm still saying look out for him. But I might be late on this boat, but I'm going to rep it anyway. Matt, I don't know if you can see that, but Matt Danger.
Oh, Danger Caged? Matt Schnell? Okay.
Schnell. I might even be messing up his last name, Matt Schnell. But his name's Danger. You might recognize him from an MTV show years ago. Like 5 or 6 years ago, they had a reality show on MTV, some cage fighters in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
I watched one episode of the show. I didn't really get into MTV that much. But this is the one guy that stood out. I remember watching the show, and a lot of guys didn't have that great a technique. Yeah. They weren't really mentally as focused. This guy was like running class. he had something about him that was intriguing. And I remember thinking, I talked to my striking coach Julio about this the other. He said the same thing. He said we both agree that this guy had something, and to see him now, he's the legacy fighting champion. He's a fellow Lafayette boy. Go for this guy. So you know, the Lafayette boys are just representing. And if this guy would win the show and then have his fight against the champion, it's crazy that he's look out for this guy. I've seen him on the promos and front, and I know how the Ultimate Fighter is. When there's guys that do good on the show, they seem to show them a little bit more. And so you might know more than me, but I'm going for this guy.
I know a couple of things, but actually, to be honest with you, it's trippy because I know a lot of stuff, and to kind of pretend you don't. I don't know. We'll see how he does. But no, I mean, it's cool. It's going to be fun to watch Henry and Joseph too, because basically Joe's like, yeah, I kind of thought I didn't like the guy much, and then I worked with him, and I got confirmation that I don't like him.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. So like I said, we have interviews with Joe and Henry. I did those yesterday and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. Looking forward to the season and looking forward to Tough Talk. You guys are going to have to watch that as well. That is it for our rounds. Alan, I do want to ask you something. I know you were on The Insider with Megan. Speaking of Joe, speaking of his wife, how'd that go?
It went good, man. I love it. I had a good time. Megan is super easy to interview. She asked me about my career, and then we've got to bring up some Louisiana stuff because some of my family was affected in the flooding in Louisiana. So I'm glad that the Ultimate Insider was able to cover some of that and raise a little awareness for the stuff going on in Louisiana. But it was good. It was fun. I could get comfortable sitting in that seat with the bright lights on me.
Gotta change his name to Showtime now, apparently.
It wasn't quite MMA heat.
This is what I'm saying. Megan's a cool girl, so I'll let you step out and hang out with Megan a little bit, but otherwise,
I came from the schooling of the Karyn Bryant schooling, so I was prepared. Exactly.
And your hand is looking much better every week. It's better and better.
It's good. I started doing some. I'm back to personal conditioning, strength and conditioning with my coach Taylor Ramsdale over at Chain Fitness. So slowly getting back into that, and December is looking very strong for my return. A matter of fact, you mentioned the Sacramento card. Mm-hmm. There's also the Ultimate
the Tough Finale is in December.
So I'm looking at one of those. I would like to stay in Vegas or California. I'm not looking to go to Brazil at the end of the year, Christmas time. I'm trying to stay home. Stay close to home. So that's probably something I'll be eyeing pretty soon.
Not gonna lie, you got a face for Big Fox. Like the Sacto show would be cool.
Big Fox sounds good. Oh man, yeah. Put me in Big Fox card with a top 15 guy.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Ooh, let's see. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All right. Well, I gotta get to work. I mean, there's this guy. His name is George St. Pierre. I don't know. I've heard he's pretty good, and he's coming into the show today.
Are you guys going where? Are you always going?
I gotta go to work. So UFC tonight, we have GSP on today, and so we're gonna try to get something out of him.
Should we expect like a big announcement? Or
hopefully we're gonna try to get it out of him. And then also, like I said, we have Demetrius and Joseph and Henry on the show, and then those three flyweights will also be on with me later on Tough Talk. So it's gonna be a good day.
Sounds like a good show. I look forward to seeing it.
Awesome. So where can people find you on social media?
Check me out, guys, at Alan Jouban, AlanJouban.
Awesome. So you can find me on Instagram at KB.Heat, Twitter, Karyn Bryant, YouTube, Karyn Bryant. You can also look for our Facebook page. And as I mentioned, if you go to iTunes and or our MMAHeat.com, you'll find our latest interviews. A lot of good stuff there. For sure, you should check out the Overeem stuff. And like I said, we also have Verdum on the way. So good stuff. All right, Alan. I'll see you soon. Thanks for talking this morning.
Go to work and get it out of George St. Pierre. Don't let him hold out on you.
I know. I'll see what I can do. See ya.